In the vast reaches of space, Earth had always been considered a quaint backwater planet, a relic of a simpler age stuck between war-torn empires and technologically advanced species. The Galactic Federation, a sprawling alliance of alien civilizations, had reluctantly integrated humanity into its fold. Earth had brought little to the table other than curiosity. Its people were admired for their ingenuity, but the creatures they lived alongside, those so-called tamed animals, were the subject of frequent jokes. On planets with towering beasts bred for war, creatures designed to crush enemies underfoot, the concept of a lion or a wolf seemed laughable. The aliens regarded Earth's wildlife as little more than pets, creatures that had been tamed and pacified, stripped of their natural wildness. Every member of the Federation possessed war beasts, gigantic, terrifying organisms engineered for destruction. And what did Earth have? Dogs that fetched, horses that pulled carts, and lions that roamed in captivity. It was all so pathetic in their eyes. The humans, though, paid little attention to the ridicule. The insults thrown their way by other species did nothing to deter them. Earth's representatives knew their value was more in their technology and diplomacy, not in their beasts. Their focus had never been on warfare in the same way. Instead, they concentrated on building alliances, using strategy and wit where brute force seemed to reign supreme. But what the aliens failed to understand was that not everything tamed was weak. Not everything trained lost its wild edge. So, when whispers spread of a looming alien threat, a rogue faction breaking away from the Galactic Federation, most of the universe thought little of Earth's defense capabilities. The breakaway faction, led by a vicious species known for deploying beasts even more monstrous than those of the Federation, set its sights on Earth. They viewed the planet as easy prey, ripe for the taking. After all, what resistance could Earth mount with its tiny, laughable animals? The threat became more real with each passing day. Fleets were reported in nearby sectors, their approach slow and methodical, as if daring the humans to respond. When the invasion fleet finally entered Earth's orbit, the scale of the attack was overwhelming. Cities fell under bombardment as alien war beasts, massive and terrifying, were deployed to ravage the landscape. Entire battalions of human soldiers were obliterated in minutes, crushed beneath the feet of these monstrous creatures. For all the aliens' underestimation of Earth, they had not considered that humanity, with its history of war and survival, would not fall so easily. Earth's military leaders, faced with the destruction of their planet, were forced to consider all options. The technological edge wasn't enough. The aliens' superior war creatures were decimating their forces. The answer came from an unlikely source. In the depths of classified military facilities, far from the eyes of the public and the aliens alike, Earth had been preparing for such a moment. It wasn't technology they were banking on. It wasn't weapons or machines. It was nature itself. The creatures that the aliens had mocked for being tamed had been trained, yes, but not tamed in the way they thought. They hadn't been pacified. They hadn't lost their edge. Instead, they had been conditioned, honed, even. These animals were Earth's last resort. The decision was made. Lions, among other creatures, were deployed alongside human forces. Trained in the harshest of conditions, these predators knew how to fight. They knew how to hunt. But none of the aliens knew that yet. The first wave of animals was released onto the battlefield as the alien forces descended with their monstrous beasts. From the sky, the lions appeared almost insignificant, mere specks compared to the towering alien creatures that marched across the wasteland. To the aliens, it was a pathetic sight, a last, desperate gasp from a dying world. But what they didn't know, what they couldn't understand, was that lions were not just animals. They were kings of their domain, forged by evolution to dominate, to lead, to kill. And as the first of the lions roared across the battlefield, the sound was unmistakable. It was not the roar of a frightened creature. It was the roar of a predator, the call of a being who knew it was in its element. The battle had only just begun. The skies over Earth darkened as the alien fleet descended, their war machines casting long shadows over the devastated cities below. Humanity had faced many challenges throughout its history, but nothing quite like this. The rogue alien faction had arrived in force, with creatures so massive that their footsteps shook the very ground, sending tremors through what was left of Earth's defenses. Towering beasts with armor-like skin, razor-sharp claws, and eyes that gleamed with an otherworldly hunger. The aliens, watching from their command ships, saw no need to hurry. This was a foregone conclusion to them, a battle not worth their full attention. The initial human resistance had been brutalized. Waves of soldiers, armed with the latest technology, had thrown themselves against the invaders, only to be swatted away like insects. Tanks were crushed underfoot, artillery reduced to scrap metal. The aliens' beasts, engineered for war, tore through everything in their path. The situation was dire, and morale was at its breaking point. In the command center deep underground, Earth's leaders faced the grim reality. The aliens had laughed at their creatures, but now the humans were forced to rely on those very animals. What choice did they have? Conventional tactics had failed. Their cutting-edge weaponry had been neutralized. This wasn't a fight they could win with raw firepower. It was time to do something different, something the aliens could never anticipate. The plan was set in motion. The lions, Earth's last hope, were readied. Trained in secret for years, they had been prepared for moments just like this. But releasing them into the fray wasn't without risk. Even the humans weren't sure if the lions, with all their power and instincts, could face creatures of such terrifying magnitude. But at this point, there was no room for doubt. It was a risk they had to take. As the alien forces pushed deeper into human territory, the order was given. A wave of military transports rolled out, their armored gates opening to reveal the lions, their fur rippling in the wind, muscles coiled with raw, untamed power. The humans watched as the beasts leaped onto the battlefield, their roars cutting through the chaos of war. At first, there was hesitation. The aliens, seeing the lions, were amused. To them, this was nothing more than a display of desperation. Earth's supposed king of the jungle was no match for their monstrosities. The first clash came quickly. One of the alien war beasts, a towering creature with spiked limbs and a gaping maw, lumbered toward the lions. Its movement was slow, arrogant, as if it believed nothing could stand in its way. But the lion, with lightning reflexes honed through years of evolution, darted forward. In one fluid motion, it sprang onto the alien's back, its claws digging deep into the armored hide. The alien beast screeched in pain, thrashing wildly, trying to dislodge the lion. But it was too late. The lion had already sunk its teeth into a vital artery, and within seconds, the creature collapsed in a heap. The aliens, watching from above, were stunned. This was not the outcome they had expected. They had never encountered anything like this before, creatures from Earth, primitive as they seemed, fighting with such ferocity and precision. It wasn't just the lions either. Other predators, wolves, eagles, even elephants, had been released onto the battlefield, each using its unique skills to dismantle the alien war machines piece by piece. What had begun as a joke was now turning into something far more dangerous. For the first time, the aliens realized they had underestimated Earth. The lions weren't just animals, they were warriors, using the terrain and their instincts to devastating effect. The battlefield had become a hunting ground, and the aliens' prized war beasts were the prey. The tide of the battle began to shift. The aliens, once so confident in their dominance, found themselves on the defensive. The lions, working in packs, began systematically taking down the alien creatures. Their tactics were simple but effective: ambushes, hit-and-run attacks, targeting the weakest points in their enemy's armor. And all the while, their roars echoed across the battlefield, a chilling reminder that Earth's creatures were not as weak as they seemed. Humanity, inspired by the sudden turn of events, rallied behind the lions. Soldiers, once beaten and broken, found new strength in the sight of their planet's animals standing tall against the alien invaders. The battle wasn't over yet, but for the first time, there was hope. The battlefield was now a chaotic mix of fire, metal, and primal fury. Alien war beasts, once unstoppable, were falling, not to technology, but to the very creatures they had mocked. The alien commanders, watching from their ships, had grown silent, no longer laughing at the sight of Earth's predators. The lions were carving through their ranks with a vicious efficiency that none of them could have predicted. They were witnessing a different kind of warfare, one driven by raw instinct, speed, and the ancient art of the hunt. Amid the chaos, one lion stood out. Larger and more battle-hardened than the others, it moved with an authority that commanded attention. Its golden mane, stained with dust and blood, seemed to shimmer as it charged through the alien forces, eyes locked on its next target. It had become a symbol, not just for the humans watching, but for the aliens now realizing the gravity of their mistake. This wasn't just a battle for survival anymore, this was a message, a lesson in underestimation. The lion faced off against one of the largest alien war beasts, a creature so massive it dwarfed even the tallest of buildings. Its skin was covered in thick, armored plates, and its glowing eyes scanned the battlefield with mechanical precision. It was a monster of science, bred in the labs of distant alien worlds to crush anything in its path. Yet here it was, about to face a single lion, a creature whose ancestors had roamed Earth long before humanity had even learned to build cities. The lion's muscles tensed, eyes narrowed, every instinct telling it how to take down the massive foe before it. The alien beast roared, a sound so loud it caused the very ground to tremble. But the lion was unfazed. With a sudden burst of speed, it charged, dodging the beast's first swing, leaping onto its side with the agility of a creature half its size. Its claws found purchase between the armored plates, ripping through the alien hide with savage precision. The beast howled in agony, thrashing wildly, but the lion held on, clawing its way higher until it reached the creature's neck. And with one swift motion, it bit down, severing the alien's spine. The giant war beast collapsed to the ground, its fall shaking the earth. The lion roared in triumph, the sound cutting through the battlefield, sending a wave of fear through the remaining alien forces. This single moment shifted the tide completely. The aliens, seeing their greatest creature fall to a lone lion, began to retreat. Panic spread through their ranks as they realized that Earth's animals were not the harmless, tamed creatures they had believed them to be. These were predators, trained but not broken, powerful but still wild. The battlefield was theirs now. The human soldiers, inspired by the lion's victory, pushed forward with renewed energy. The alien invaders, once confident in their overwhelming strength, were now struggling to maintain any kind of order. Their war beasts, designed to dominate with sheer size and strength, were no match for the cunning and ferocity of Earth's predators. The alien commanders watched in disbelief. They had expected an easy conquest, a simple display of superiority over a planet they considered backward. Now, they were witnessing their forces crumble. Their creatures, engineered for war, had been outsmarted, outmatched by beings they had never considered a threat. This was not how it was supposed to go. But for the humans, it was exactly how it needed to go. For too long, they had been seen as inferior, their world considered weak and primitive. Now, as their creatures tore through the alien invaders, they were showing the galaxy that Earth was not to be underestimated. The lion's roar echoed across the battlefield once more, a final, chilling reminder that Earth's strength came not just from its people, but from the very ground they stood on. The battle was nearing its end, and the aliens were in full retreat. Earth had won, not with advanced technology or superior numbers, but with the creatures they had been mocked for. The lions, the wolves, the birds of prey, they had all played their part, but it was the lions who stood tallest in this victory. They had fought with a ferocity that no alien war beast could match, a reminder that even in a galaxy filled with advanced technology and engineered creatures, there was still something to be feared in the natural world. The battlefield, once a place of chaos and destruction, was now quiet. The humans stood victorious, their animal allies beside them, bloodied but unbroken. They had proven their worth, not just to the alien invaders, but to themselves. Earth had always been more than a planet of tamed creatures. Today, they had shown the galaxy what it meant to be wild. As the last remnants of the alien forces fled the battlefield, the humans stood in a mix of awe and disbelief. They had faced a force that had initially seemed insurmountable, one that was bred and built specifically for war. And yet, the very creatures the aliens had mocked had turned the tide. The air was thick with the smell of smoke and ash, But there was something else now too: victory. The lions, along with the other earth animals, stood among the wreckage, breathing heavily but victorious. Their fur was matted with blood and dirt, but they had earned their place in history. They weren't just survivors. They were champions of a fight that had defied all odds. For the humans who watched, it was a moment of pride and realization. The creatures they had once seen as symbols of the past, reminders of an Earth more wild and dangerous, had become the key to their survival. Above the battlefield, in the alien command ships, the realization hit with a crushing weight. The once smug and confident commanders now wore expressions of disbelief and fear. They had entered this battle thinking Earth would be an easy target, a planet with little to offer in terms of resistance. But they had gravely miscalculated. The creatures they had laughed at were anything but harmless. Earth's animals, in particular the lions, had exposed the arrogance of their assumptions. Whispers spread among the alien ranks. The fear was palpable now. If Earth's creatures were capable of this kind of savagery, what other strengths had the humans kept hidden? What else had they underestimated in their rush to conquer? For the humans, the aftermath of the battle wasn't just about rebuilding what had been lost. It was about understanding the lesson they had learned. The Earth, despite its outward appearance of modernization and technology, still had something primal at its core. Its animals, though tamed in the eyes of many, still carried within them the instincts that had made them powerful once upon a time. This battle had reminded them that sometimes, true strength comes from embracing what seems old, what seems wild. The lion, now regarded as the hero of the battle, was tended to with a newfound reverence. Its roar had marked the turning point, the moment when the battlefield shifted, when hope had returned. Humanity's greatest leaders, military and civilian alike, looked at the creature with respect they hadn't even realized was possible. They had always known that the lion was the king of the jungle, but now it was the king of more than just Earth. It had proven itself a force to be reckoned with, even among the stars. As news of the victory spread across the galaxy, the story of Earth's animals began to take on a life of its own. The Federation, which had long regarded humanity as an inferior, quaint species, began to reconsider its views. The other alien races had watched the invasion from afar, expecting Earth to fall quickly, only to be shocked by the reports coming in. They heard of lions taking down beasts 10 times their size, of wolves coordinating attacks that outmaneuvered the best alien tactics. Earth was no longer just a planet of tamed creatures. It had earned respect, not through advanced weaponry or cunning diplomacy, but through something much older, much more primal. But the victory didn't just change how the aliens saw Earth. It changed how Earth saw itself. For too long, humanity had sought to distance itself from the natural world, viewing its creatures as relics of a time gone by. But now, they understood. The bond between humans and their animals, between the modern and the primal, was a strength that could not be ignored. The lessons learned from the battle would shape Earth's future. The lion's roar, now immortalized in the minds of all who had heard it, would become a symbol, not just of the battle, but of the balance between progress and nature. The story of the lion on the battlefield would be told for generations, a tale of how Earth, against all odds, stood tall against a force that had come to crush it. The alien commanders, now retreating back to their territories, would carry their defeat with them. The memory of the lion that brought down their greatest war beasts would haunt them. They would never underestimate Earth again. In fact, many among the Federation began to wonder what other strengths humanity had yet to reveal. What else lay hidden beneath the surface of a world they had once thought so insignificant? For the people of Earth, the aftermath was a time of both mourning and celebration. Lives had been lost, cities destroyed, but the victory was undeniable. They had defended their home, not with weapons of mass destruction, but with creatures born from the very soil they fought to protect. It was a reminder of their own roots, of the raw power that still flowed through their planet. As the sun set on the battlefield, casting long shadows over the wreckage of alien machines and fallen war beasts, the lions walked back, heads held high. Their role in the battle was over, but their place in history had just begun. The humans who had witnessed their bravery would never forget the sight. These animals, once considered tamed and harmless, had reminded the galaxy what true power looked like. The battle was over, but its impact would be felt for years to come. Earth had stood its ground, not with the tools of modern war, but with the raw, untamed force of its oldest creatures. And in the end, it wasn't the aliens' advanced war beasts that had won the day, but a simple lion's roar, echoing across the battlefield, announcing to the universe that Earth was far stronger than anyone had ever believed.